morning, everybody, and welcome to Daily Red Devil. We've got lots to get into on the show this morning, but before we do that, please do me a small favour. If you are watching for the first time today, please do subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. We're literally about to hit 43,000 subscribers, so please go and do that if you haven't already. And also make sure to give the video a like. It doesn't cost you any money and it really helps me out. On the show this morning, we are going to be reacting to Manchester United submitting a new official bid for Bryan Mbeumo. This is big news that came out last night. Everybody's reporting it, from Fabrizio to the BBC to Sky Sports. This is a confirmed story. So we'll be talking about that. But I want to get your thoughts on this. Do we think that £60 million is a fair price for Bryan Mbeumo? Get in the comment section. Let me know. Are you happy with that? Is it too much? Are we overpaying again? Are we getting ripped off? What do you think? Maybe you think it's a good deal. Maybe you don't. I want to get your thoughts in the comment section now. Are you happy with £60 million for Bryan Mbeumo? So we'll be talking about that, of course. We'll also be talking about Christopher Nkunku with a potential swap deal for Alejandro Garnacho. I mean, where did this come from? Again, what's your thoughts on that? Christopher Nkunku in exchange for Alejandro Garnacho. We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about Rashford. We'll be talking about Sancho. Lots and lots to get into. So let's jump straight on into it. Let's talk a little bit first then about the big breaking news, Bryan Mbeumo. So I'm going to bring you all of the different reports and then we'll discuss it, okay? So, I mean, this is the most positive bit of all of this. Fabrizio is confirming that Manchester United's priority remains Bryan Mbeumo and a new number 9. Okay, well, I mean, that's kind of obvious, but that's still positive, right? That we are 100% going for Bryan Mbeumo. So the story first, I think, was reported by Ben Jacobs. So fair play to Ben Jacobs. He got the kind of breaking news on this, which was Ben Jacobs has been pretty good in this transfer window so far. So fair play to Ben Jacobs. So Ben Jacobs effectively reported that Man United have submitted a new bid of £60 million for Bryan Mbeumo. And then very quickly after that, you had Fabrizio, you had The Telegraph, you had Sky Sports, you had, all of the mainstream media all reporting the same story, that Manchester United have submitted a new £60 million bid for Bryan Mbeumo. Now, we know that they're asking for 62.5 million, okay? We know that they want the same amount of money as what Manchester United paid Wolves for Matheus Cunha. They're saying, you paid 62.5 for him, we want 62.5 for Bryan Mbeumo, which, I mean, I guess it makes sense, realistically. They're the same age, they play in the same league, they got the same amount of goals, roughly. In fact, I think Bryan Mbeumo got more goals than Cunha last season, playing in a similar position. So I guess it makes sense. But Fabrizio has said Manchester United have submitted a new official proposal for Bryan Mbeumo, who remains the priority target. He says the proposal was sent over the weekend, so obviously that would have been a couple of days ago. He says it's in excess of 60 million. So it's not even 60 million, people. It's more than 60 million pounds. He says that Mbeumo is giving his priority to Manchester United. So Mbeumo wants to come to Manchester United. Manchester United clearly want to sign him. The only problem that I think we have, right, and this is what I've heard and what I've read and what I've been told, is the payment structure of the deal. So everyone just focuses in on the fee, don't they? Everyone's like, 60 million, that's what they asked for. Why have they not accepted it yet? Well, there's a little bit more to it than that, okay? Because what we have to deal with here is the payment terms. We have to pay the club, Brentford, over a certain amount of years. Obviously, we're not going to give them £60 million up front. That's just not going to happen. So, at the moment, what's being negotiated, the fee isn't the problem. Brentford are happy with 60 million, or in excess of 60 million, as Fabrizio has said. That's not the issue. The issue is that Manchester United are reportedly trying to spread the fee over a 5-year period, which is how most clubs do deals. It's the most effective way to comply with PSR. So in this instance, right, say Bryan Mbeumo is 60 million, that will be the headline. £60 million deal. We won't be giving them 60 million this summer. We'll give them 12 this summer, 12 the next summer, etc., right? So it's actually only 12 million that Brentford would get this year, which isn't really very much, is it, to lose your best player, considering you've lost your manager as well. So I think at the moment the biggest stumbling block is Brentford effectively trying to negotiate with Manchester United to get them to change these payment terms. Because currently, Brentford clearly aren't happy with how Manchester United are trying to structure the deal, which I get. It makes sense. And realistically, what we keep hearing is that Brentford are saying he's got 1 year left on his contract with a club option for another year. So he's really got 2 years left on his deal. So they're not exactly desperate to sell him. They know that if he didn't go this summer, he could still play for them for another year and would still have an extra year left after that, right? So he has really got 2 years left on his deal. So I understand their position. You know, he's their best player. They've just lost their manager. They want to get in as much money as possible. And they want to get as much money as possible in now. I think that's the key point that we need to take away from here. They want to ensure that they actually have money to reinvest this summer. Because you've got to remember, like, teams like Brentford don't have as much money as Manchester United. So, you know, giving them 12 million now, that's not really going to do much for them, is it? When you think about it, you know, they need money, they need cash. They've lost their manager. They need to bring in new players. They need to rebuild the squad. So if we're only offering them 12 million this summer, I mean, that's not really going to go very far, is it? So I get it. But I want to get your thoughts on Bryan Mbeumo. Let's do this. So is 60 million a fair price for Bryan Mbeumo? Do you know what, right? I'm going to say it. Anybody who's just joining, there is a poll that you can get involved with running live. Do we think 60 million is a fair price for Bryan Mbeumo? I personally think it is, you know. I'm not unhappy with this fee. I think it's more than reasonable. I think he's a very, very talented player. He got 20 goals in the Premier League last season. He's 25 years of age, Premier League proven. I don't think it's a bad deal, you know. We paid, 50, 60 million for Ugarte last year. Not Premier League proven. And he was a defensive midfielder. So I don't think it's a terrible deal. But I'd be interested to get you guys' thoughts on this. Do you think it was a good deal or not? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I mean, the deal hasn't been confirmed yet, just to be clear. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm interested to see what you all think. Obviously, you can get involved in the poll. I personally have no issue with it. Right. Let's see what people are saying in the chat this morning. Mark says he thinks 62.5 million is fair. That's the same as what we paid for Cunha. Yeah, I don't disagree. Stephanie says we need Mbeumo, so the price is the price. That's down to our best-in-class negotiation people. Do you know what is funny, right? It's funny that we've been negotiating for like 3 weeks and we're going to end up paying again what they want. I mean, how many times have we done that? How many times have we expressed interest in a player, been like, we're not going to pay the amount of money you want, and then a month later we pay the amount of money that they want, you know? Like, how many times have we done that? 20 times? 30 times? I mean, it literally seems to happen, like, constantly. Doesn't it? Where we express interest, they say we want this much, we say, oh, no, we're not paying this much. No way, not going to happen. And then, like, a day later, we pay the amount that they ask for. Literally, I can't even count how many times we've done that. But anyway, I'm not going to complain, you know. We know that our club's not run very well, so it's hardly surprising that this is how it goes down. But yeah, it's just funny, isn't it? I do just find it quite laughable that, you know, it takes us that long to do a deal. And, you know, in the end, we're just going to pay the amount of money the club want anyway. And we'll make out that we're like master negotiators. We'll make out that we're, you know, having an amazing transfer window and, you know, and we're not going to be taken for a ride anymore. And it's exactly the same as how it was under the Glazers. You know, under the Glazers, it literally was exactly that, where we would spend all summer negotiating and then we just pay the amount of money the club wanted in the end anyway. But in my opinion, for what it's worth, as long as we get the deal done by the time the pre-season tour, I don't really care, to be honest. Like, it doesn't really bother me. I know some people are quite worked up about it, but as long as he's on that pre-season tour, like, it doesn't really bother me that much. It doesn't really matter, does it? As long as he's on that pre-season tour and he's fully implemented into the squad ahead of the first game of the season against Arsenal, then who really cares whether it's today or tomorrow? Like, it doesn't really matter. He's on holiday anyway. He's not going to do his medical. So, yeah, I'm not as bothered as some people are. I know some people are quite worked up about it, saying, he should be through the door now. Like, what's going on? I would agree if the preseason tour starts and he's not on that plane going to America. But as long as it's done before then, so be it. Fine. But yeah, maybe you disagree. Maybe you think that the business should be done faster. But I think it's just being done at the speed it's always been done at. But the difference is here, in the past, Manchester United in the transfer window have usually left the deals to very, very late. If we go on our pre-season tour and we have 2 players through the door, I would be happy. I think that would be solid. And it's 2 attacking players. Obviously, we still need more signings. I think the biggest thing now is getting rid of players. So it's going to be getting rid of people like Garnacho. It's going to be getting rid of people like Rashford. It's going to be getting rid of people like Anthony. Like, we can't see people like this going on the pre-season tour. That's really what we need to look at now, is how do we get rid of these players? How do we ensure that they're not on that pre-season tour? And how do we ensure that we get as much money as possible for these players? That has to be kind of the goal now. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this season progresses. I think, with these players, it should be a little bit better. Right, let's move on from there. Let's talk a little bit about this Christopher Nkunku swap deal then, shall we? Because this one is strange. So the headline is that apparently Chelsea and Manchester United are considering a swap deal where Christopher Nkunku would join Manchester United and Alejandro Garnacho would join Chelsea. I don't get this, personally. Why would we want Christopher Nkunku? I mean, he's a good player, but he's gone to Chelsea and he's not done very well. And, I mean, Garnacho presents an opportunity to make 100% profit. So, I just think this is a stupid story. There might be some truth in the fact that they want Garnacho and we might be interested in Christopher Nkunku, but other than that, I don't really see any truth in it. I mean, swap deals never happen. When was the last time you remember a swap deal happening at Manchester United? I can't remember ever there being a swap deal. Can you? I'm sure someone will let me know in the chat, but in recent memory, I can't remember a swap deal at Manchester United. Or any club for that matter. Like, it just doesn't happen. It's not common. So, I don't know. I think this is just a nothing story that's been generated by the media. There is literally zero benefit of us doing this. We have the opportunity here to sell a youth academy player, Alejandro Garnacho, for 100% profit. Why would we do a swap deal, which meant that we wouldn't be able to make any money or help our PSR situation at all? And why would we do that in exchange for a player who is injury prone and, let's be honest, has flopped at Chelsea? It's a stupid story. It's a really, really stupid story, and it's probably one that's just been made up by the media. There'll obviously be some truth in it, very, very light truth, but yeah, I just think, again, this is just a stupid story. So I'm going to push this one under the carpet and I'm going to leave it there. The likelihood of this happening, I would say, is probably 0.5% realistically, but it has been reported by some reputable people that apparently Manchester United are interested in a swap deal. So, yeah, Alexis Sanchez and Mkhitaryan, fair enough. Was it an actual swap deal though, or did we buy the players? I feel like we still paid a transfer fee, didn't we? I forgot about that one. Yeah, that's a good point. Fair enough. But yeah, so I think the likelihood of that one happening, I mean, you never know in football, but I think it's pretty small. Would you take Christopher Nkunku? That's more of a better question, really. Would you actually want Christopher Nkunku at Manchester United? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. 2 or 3 years ago, I would have taken him, but I think, yeah, he's come to Manchester United, and he's come to Chelsea, and it's just not really worked, has it? If it was like a loan till the end of the season, maybe, just as an extra option. But yeah, personally, I wouldn't bother with it. I mean, most people in the chat are saying they don't want Nkunku, saying he's injury prone. I agree fully. He is injury prone. He's injured all the time. So yeah, I personally would not be doing this deal, and I think, like I said a couple of minutes ago, the likelihood of this happening is probably next to zero. So I don't think we need to be too worried about that. Right, what else have we got to talk about this morning? I mean, the main stories are Bryan Mbeumo and Nkunku, aren't they? Those are the two big stories that we're kind of leading on. There's not really any news in relation to outgoings, other than Manchester United want to sell Sancho and Garnacho and Rashford, and that's kind of it. But other than that, there's nothing. It is a bit concerning in relation to outgoings, but I mean, I think realistically, obviously, all the players are on holiday. When do the players come back? Let's have a look. When do Manchester United players report back pre-season? So, when are the Manchester United players back at Carrington? Okay, so they're back at Carrington for pre-season on the 7th of July, which is... It's literally less than 2 weeks away. So, in less than 2 weeks, all of the players will be back at Carrington, ready for the pre-season. So, I think realistically, like the next couple of weeks, it's going to be really focused on bringing in Bryan Mbeumo. And then I think once those players are back at pre-season, they'll go back to Carrington, and then it's going to be like, right, we need to get these players out. Garnacho, you're gone. Rashford, you're gone. Sancho, you're gone. You're not coming on the pre-season tour. Goodbye, effectively. So I can't imagine much is going to happen in relation to outgoings between this week and next week. But as soon as that 7th of July date hits, and they're all back at Carrington, they're all there, I think then we'll start to hopefully see some outgoings happen. Hopefully. I mean, I wish it would be before, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to be, is it? So yeah, I don't know. That's the only thing I'm kind of disappointed about this window is just the speed in which we're doing outgoings. But, you know, it does happen. Right. I am going to wrap the video up here, guys. I'm not going to ramble on for too long. I've brought you the breaking news. If you could do me a favour before you go, please do subscribe. We're literally on the brink of hitting 43,000. So I'd really appreciate it if everyone who is watching today who is not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. And be sure to give the video a like as well. It does really help me out. It helps to bring more people into the channel. If anything breaks during the day, I will go live. So make sure you hit the notification bell as well. Have a great day, everybody. And I'll speak to you all. Well, hopefully I'll speak to you later. Hopefully we'll have signed Bryan Mbeumo. But if not, it'll be tomorrow morning. Have a good day.